One of the confusing things about SoFi's business is the opaque nature of the technology segment. This is arguably the company's second most important segment behind financial services, which is essentially doubling year over year at this point. But technology has the ability to be one of the most leveraged businesses in SoFi. Doesn't come with the same financial risk that the lending business does. Doesn't come with the same volatility that the financial services business does. But the technology business is really difficult to understand. So I had a chance to get a hold of Galileo's chief product officer and ask a few questions to kind of clarify exactly what the company does, give some real world examples of where their products are being used. Hopefully that is helpful for investors. I know it's helpful for me to try to understand this business a little bit better. Because even on conference calls, you get a lot of vague comments about, hey, we're working on things with these big banks that they're going to adopt our technology solutions, but we don't know exactly what those things are, how big these contracts are, exactly what the products look like. So I'm going to try to answer some of those questions for you today. My name's Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. So let's just start with an overview, and I'm going to use some direct quotes. And I wanted to start with just Galileo's business and its ties to SoFi. And what I took from this is basically that Galileo is operated as a completely separate business. This conversation started after they had an announcement that SoFi was going to be using Galileo's Cyberbank core. I'll get to that in just a second. But it certainly seems like Galileo is basically operated on its own, and then SoFi is using a lot of those tools for its current business. The way that I think about this a little bit is actually AWS. Amazon.com didn't actually fully switch to AWS until I think it was a couple of years ago. So a little bit crazy to think that AWS, which is arguably the most valuable piece of Amazon's business, was not actually running all of the main company's website. So this is a technology company. They use a lot of those buzzwords like full stack banking platform, advanced banking and process capabilities. It's basically the technology stuff that goes on in the background at a bank. What allows you to start an account, take out a credit card. But I wanted to get into a few more details. So the first question I had was about the commercial banking deal with SoFi, because this was actually announced by SoFi that they were going to be using Galileo's Cyberbank core, which again seemed a little bit strange because SoFi owns Galileo. And what this says is this gives SoFi the tools to offer commercial clients. This is what the deal was related to the commercial business, including debit, prepaid, ACH, and wire transactions associated banking services. So basically, SoFi's business so far has been primarily related to individual customers, starting with lending, then moving into banking and financial services. Now they're going to be moving into more commercial products. So they want commercial customers, and those commercial customers have to be able to say, okay, I have a business. I want to give this person a credit card. I want to be able to allow this other person to make ACH transfers. And that's really what they're doing with this Cyberbank core deal within SoFi. So Galileo is the technology company, and even though it's owned by SoFi, they're actually doing a separate deal with SoFi to power that business. It's one of their modules that SoFi is tapping into. So let's get to some examples of where we're going to see Galileo's products in the wild. Hopefully this will put some of their products into more context. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. One example is H&R Block's Spruce product. This is powered by Galileo. It offers fee-free accounts and debit cards for convenient money management. You may notice that the interest rate you can get here is lower than you can get on SoFi, for example. That's because the way that H&R Block is going to make money is by an arbitrage between those two rates. But being a bank is not what H&R Block does, so they offload this to a company like Galileo. Another example is Row. And the way that Row uses Galileo is to track B2B expenses and integrate with ERP solutions or enterprise resource planning. So you can track what's going on with bank accounts, credit cards, and your own treasury. Claire is an earned wage access solution. So if you're earning wages from gig work in particular, you can see what those wages are through Claire, and then there's fee-free transfers from Claire as well. So again, it allows Claire to offer solutions that look like a bank, advances on wages, for example, without having to build that infrastructure themselves. Mbank is another partner, and Galileo offers card issuance, banking services, and that's through a single API that simplifies their product launches. That's really the pitch that Galileo is making to their banking partners. The final thing that I asked about is why traditional banks would use a company like Galileo, which is owned by SoFi, to offer services to their own customers. And I think the simple answer here is just that Galileo is a technology company and a technology company for banking. So particularly if you're a smaller bank, a regional bank or a local bank, you don't necessarily have the capabilities in-house to build these things yourselves. So this gives you the opportunity to white label technology that basically is the same as what SoFi is doing. So look at these answers here. Main things are speed to market. So you don't have to do all of the internal development, not only speed, but cost. The cloud-based infrastructure doesn't bring the same upfront cost. This is why SaaS solutions are so attractive to so many businesses. Proven expertise, so that they've been doing this for a very long time. Obviously, SoFi is using them, one of the fastest growing banks in the country. And then flexible integration. This is where Galileo is a horizontal services company. So a customer who's going to work with them doesn't have to use all of their solutions. They can just pick the ones that they want. Maybe they want to do credit card issuance, but they don't want to do banking services. There's a lot of different ways that they could work with Galileo. And that's the flexibility that you have as a platform company or a horizontal services company like Galileo is. But that's really what you get with SoFi's technology business. I'll just show that growth chart again here. Still a relatively high growth segment for SoFi, especially when you compare it to traditional banking services, and it's relatively high margin. The dark blue line is the contribution margin. So like all of SoFi's other businesses today, this is now contribution margin positive. So hopefully that was helpful in understanding a little bit more about what SoFi is doing with its technology business, where it could potentially scale. I think it probably doesn't make sense for a lot of the big banks to work with a company like SoFi, but as you get smaller, SoFi and Galileo can offer some really interesting solutions for both banks and then also non-banks. So think of a company like H&R Block. I think that's a really good example of a company that maybe wants to offer some of those solutions, but doesn't want to do it all internally themselves. I know another example that I've used is HSA accounts. So that's going to come from an insurance company. They don't want to be a bank, but they want to offer those kind of solutions. So SoFi and Galileo are the kind of company that's going to offer that because of the capabilities that they have built in-house as a technology company. So let me know if you have any thoughts or questions in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.